The Vikings, they crumble on prime time. Just a pathetic display of football tonight. They dropped to the Chargers 37-10. They dropped to 3-4 on the year. Luke Inman right here at Luke_Spinman. Got your 60-minute deep dive instant reaction coming up next. But first, let's meet the crew.
What's up? It's Sam Ekstrom, and I made a list of all the dumb stuff that the Vikings did tonight, and it's long, and we probably don't have enough time.
Hey, this is Arif Hassan with Wide Left. Just like many of the Vikings this season, I have also suffered my second concussion of the year.
I'm Ron Johnson, former Gophers and NFL wide receiver, host of the Ron Johnson Show. I feel like if we had Justin Herbert on our team, he would have been the leading rusher for the Vikings tonight.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings, every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What's going on? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Viking Squad Show. That means 60 minutes of instant reaction, deep dive. We're touching on it all. What was worse, the offense or the defense tonight? Both plagued the Vikings. Biggest turning points in this one. What we'll be talking about tomorrow. Before we get into it all, though, make sure to like and subscribe. Keep up with all the action so close to 10,000 subscribers. And, of course, follow our guy, Luke Braun, over on Locked On Vikings each and every day as well. Ron, you're batting leadoff tonight. I'm thinking about just kind of the overarching theme going into this game. Tough ask for any team playing on a short week, right? Traveling to the West Coast, but that's life in the NFL. We all knew it coming into this one. With every passing week, it just seems like the stakes are slowly getting raised week by week. You're a 500 team coming into this one. You're already in last place in your division. The room for error, I guess, becoming kind of razor thin with Detroit and then Baltimore on the horizon. Still don't have your starting quarterback either. So good teams find a way to get the job done, though, right? And that was anything but the case tonight. Vikings get embarrassed on prime time. What's just the number one thing on your mind right now as you watch this game unfold the way it did?
Yeah, the Minnesota Vikings have problems. I don't know where they're at. They're everywhere. I mean, you can watch film and we're going to see it on Tuesday, but Saturday, Sunday. I don't know when the Vikings are going to load this up, but they're bad right now. Like, it's just fundamentally, when you look at the Chargers, they didn't do anything that they hadn't done on film all season long. They motioned a ton on third down. It almost felt like the Vikings defense had no answer for Justin Herbert on the scramble. Like, at what point were you not going to bring an extra defensive back in and just say, hey, stare at the quarterback when we rush. Do not let him get out the pocket. Hopefully we can play man coverage. And that's where a lot of teams like the Giants, if you go back and watch the Giants film, the Giants won the game or won a lot of the battles because they went man. Like, they just were willing to deal with the crisscross and the bump plays and the underneath stuff. They just said, you know what, we're going to figure the Colts. The Colts did a ton of like, they made it look like cover two, and then they just dropped into man. Like, the Minnesota Vikings clearly got outplayed in a lot of their situations today. And honestly, like, Gaskin, I mean, they had no idea that guy was that good. Like, it was just like, why is Josh Metellus on him one-on-one? Why is this guy not being, looked at inside? He just had a big game last week. And I really just don't understand what offensively they were trying to do tonight. Jordan Mason with 4 carries and 3 yards. I thought he would be the leading rusher for this game, and I was 100%, 200% wrong. But the one thing is, if you get doubled up in time, 40 minutes to 20 minutes, you're going to lose the game.
Yeah, no doubt. Arif, let me kick it over to you. A lot of different directions we could play the blame game here, like Ron pointed out. No offensive movement, but the running game. No running game to really build off and protect your quarterback. The offensive line, speaking of protection, not great protection up front. We'll get into some injuries. Christian Darrisaw only played 8 plays tonight, but the defense continues to get gashed as well. And Justin Herbert, who's kidding who, when that dude's clicking, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but it's been a continuing theme as of late. So kind of blame chart, if you will. What's like your number one frustration, I guess, just knee-jerk reaction 10 minutes after this one ended?
Yeah, I'm confident the blame chart will change as I've got like more time to think about and ruminate on the game, but I'm just going to go by instinct, right? I think technically the defense underproduced more than the offense. I think by most reasonable measures, the defense is worse than the offense, but I can't look away from the way that Carson Wentz played, right? And the thing is, it's kind of a difficult conversation to have, right? Because you have to always acknowledge kind of the context of the play that, whatever player is playing in, right? We know that Carson Wentz is playing through what is clearly a very painful injury. We know that you're not playing with that full complement of offensive line. You've got Walter Rouse at right tackle. You've got Justin School at left tackle. And then when Christian Darrisaw was in, he actually was playing very poorly, which is why I think he was yanked pretty early. Right. So really awful protection up front. You had Donovan Jackson with one of his worst games. You had Will Fries making mistakes. Like everybody was bad on the offensive line. So we can account for all of that, right? We can say, hey, these are all the obstacles that he had to deal with. What would we expect an average quarterback to do in that situation? Probably not well, but probably also way better than Carson Wentz, right? Who didn't seem to have any awareness of what was happening in the pocket, had no understanding of like when to get rid of the ball. And some of the successful plays that he had, I thought also looked bad. And I'm not just talking about like the duck to Justin Jefferson, which was like one of the few third down conversions of the game. Fine, whatever. He also took a hit that he didn't need to then. But rather, this guy is staring down receivers more than I've ever seen him do in his career. And that was a weakness coming into the season that we talked about multiple times, that is a problem. Like the wheel route, for example, to Jordan Mason in the end zone, which is an inaccurate pass. Not very good. But like also, he's just staring that down the entire time. He's not moving his head at all. And then the play prior to that, a successful one to TJ Hawkinson, staring it down the entire time. And that happened throughout the game. There's no wonder that Cam Hart was able to have like 90 pass deflections in this game. Just absolutely nuts that he continued to give cues to the defense as to what he wanted to do. And then very often he didn't have the ability to do that because he was holding onto the ball. He was hesitating. He was taking on, these sacks, and even on quick pressures, right? Like a lot of times you can kind of absolve a quarterback for, not being able to deal with quick pressure. But a lot of times you just have to respond, right? You have to understand where that pressure is coming from. And he had no feel in the pocket at all. He's missing open receivers because he's staring down one read. He's predetermined all of his reads in this game, it seems like. And there's only so much that you can say, like, he played through, pain. And it's like, okay, that's fantastic. You want all your players to play through pain, but he didn't play well through pain. He should have taken himself out of the game. He wasn't playing well. Like, the Vikings probably should have too, but like,
yes, the Vikings should have taken him out of the game.
Right. But
Wentz is not going to take himself out of the game. It's his last game.
He should.
I'm done.
I don't care.
I'm
He's
done.
playing through injury, man.
I love this team too much growing up. Boyhood, Viking fan. I can't do this to the fan base anymore. At least they kept showing him on the sideline smiling, having a good time, because that's what you wanted to see.
I'm glad.
Well,
as the fan.
until the end.
Morphed
the
into
end,
like
was,
tears of pain by the end. But
he's just
had
like,
some laughs with McCown.
Sam,
on.
to Arif's point, first play of the game. Anybody remember the first pass of the game by Carson Wentz? Just
behind on a screen.
Behind Jones.
We're talking a 6-yard throw.
It reminded me of Josh Allen his rookie year, right?
Right.
Just
like, reminded me of Josh Allen at the Senior Bowl, actually. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Couldn't hit the
Can I just relitigate? Like, here's a list of stuff that happened on the first 2 drives of the game.
Mm-hmm.
One for the Vikings, one for the Chargers. The Vikings had a great kickoff return nullified by a penalty,
which we're just numb to at this point.
It happens every time. It's not even a fun drinking game because it's like you just expect it to happen.
Just get blitzed right before any actual
it's
action.
not even, there's no mystery to it. There was the throw to Jones in the flat way behind him. There was a 3rd and 1 kind of gimmick play that went absolutely resulted
long
in
developing play on 3rd and 1,
throwing the ball up to the heavens.
Is that
a
the one with
cowardly
Jefferson in
4th
the
and 1.
backfield? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say a cowardly 4th and 1 punt, like from the 41. I don't know. I go for that. Then I still think that they got the call wrong on the review, but you kind of fumbled around with a pick 6 and got that reversed. Then you give up a 3rd and 13, a 3rd and 8, an illegal. You hit the quarterback late, Dallas Turner. Terrible game.
Yeah, unquestionable call there. Like, you can't complain about that.
Can't even hide.
Launch. That was targeting. That's like ejection in college football. I mean, that's 2 drives of the football game. And at that point, I don't know if there was any hope that this thing was going to turn around. I mean, Ron, you like, this is one of those games where you got the vibe early that this was going to be an absolute massacre. It just felt like there was no resistance whatsoever and no opportunity for the Vikings offense to sustain drives. It was so deflating, so demoralizing to watch. to play in. If you're a fan in the stadium, like that was about as bad as it gets.
Yeah, and the one thing, I mean, you guys brought up about the fourth downs. Like you got 3rd and 1, he passed the ball, incomplete. 3rd and 2, passed the ball. 4th and 1, field goal. 4th and 2, punt. 4th and 1, punt. That's 5 short yardage plays that they had no answer for. If that was the Eagles, they would have pushed them into the ground. They would have pushed them to the locker room for both of those first downs. Like, I don't understand how the Minnesota Vikings, with that offensive line and the size of some of those guys and the Jordan Mason's like size, and you're tight. I mean, we know Josh Oliver got hurt, but that was later. Just go large, bring in an extra lineman, go big, and just say, you know what, we're going to do this. Put a defensive tackle in the backfield as a fullback. Like, we know CJ Ham is out. Do something to show that you want to win these games. And it just felt like, well, you know what, we're just going to punt it here. We're just going to, like, to be down. Like, he ended up scoring and going for, because the flag, and they went, but he was going to settle for a field goal.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that to, when he set up for a field goal, I was like, what? And the Chargers saved him from that press conference, because at least I don't even know the penalty. Oh, it was holding on St. Juice. Shout out to Roll the Boat, Go Gophers. Appreciate that, St. Juice. But if Benjamin St. Juice doesn't push Jordan Addison, which I still don't think that was a penalty, by the way. Like, if I'm the Chargers fans and they lost because of something like that, I'd be like, these refs are cheating. Because, like, he tried to run an in-cutting route through a DB on the inside. That's not a flag. Like, you basically are covered. He's allowed to, like, guard his space. But anyway,
You got a former receiver saying that too. That's
because he is like, I hate when they run a route, because the other side of that is I hate when they throw the flag on the receiver for just like having his hand like this and it's not pushing. It's just, I'm touching so I can feel where he's at, and then they jump, and then you see the flag fly because the DB is just uncoordinated and he falls or he does something stupid, and you're like, that's not a flag. So again, 4th and 1, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. Not one time did they run the ball. That's a problem.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's
It's
a
like
big
I
problem.
don't have an issue in general with like throwing the ball in short yardage, like broadly, but like you do have to run, and honestly, you probably should be running more than you're passing. Like individual plays, yeah, sure, throw the ball, like you got to catch them off guard, especially on 3rd down, on 3rd and short, because in theory, you'll be running, you'll have the 4th down to kind of make up for it. But if you're not going for it on 4th down, right, and you're just like never running the ball in short yardage, that's just like, that's not even competing, right? Like, I talk all the time about like how coaches don't optimize their runs and passes and how they should reduce the number of running plays they have, like all the nerd stuff. But like one of the areas where all the nerds agree that you should run the ball is on 3rd and short. That's actually a positive value run. And the Vikings just don't do it after all of this investment. And I understand the offensive line is hurt, right? I understand CJ Ham's not available. But after all of this investment in the running game, after a guy who gets like 4 yards after contact per attempt in Jordan Mason, you're still not like, you're not even trying to run, like at least fail a couple of times before you decide to just stop running in short yardage. You got to try.
What was the first down count? 29-10 by the end of the game, I think.
Felt like 42-3.
29-12.
29-12. Yeah. Thanks, Brosmer, for getting us.
Yeah, Brosmer got the,
Thanks, Xavier Scott.
And Xavier Scott, yeah.
70 plays to 47, 419 total yards to $164.
The Vikings ran the ball 11 times. 11 times.
And really 9, because garbage time, Xavier Scott had 2 of them.
Correct. The Chargers, 43. Now, 7 of those were Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
But 43 runs. That's nuts. And again, for the quarterback to have 7, like his average was 8.9 yards per carry. At some point, as a defensive coordinator, you just have to say, somebody spy him. I'm sending the house. One of you guys have to stay home and you're going to cover the hook flat, but I need you to be closer to the quarterback, because that's the only thing that was beating them. If they could have kept Carson Wentz in there, once he started scrambling and somebody was faster than him that was right there, I mean, anybody. You could have put Jeff Okudah in there. You could have anybody. That would have been the point.
Lots more to get into. Biggest turning point. What else are we frustrated about with KOC tonight? That's all coming up, though, right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, now with more than 10 million members to date. For me, my money, it's just by far the easiest. It's the most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports, you watch your favorite players. So simple. All you got to do, you pick more or less on 2 or more players' stats. You watch the winnings roll in. Officially in crunch time here in the middle of the football season, things are really heating up. So whether it's anytime touchdowns, receptions, tackles, sacks, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less. Add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, don't forget they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Right now, download the Prize Picks app. Use code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's win or lose. Any $5 lineup, you're getting $50 instantly with promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Prize Picks, run your game. Sam, again, game just ended 20 minutes ago. We'll let the dust settle. We'll digest this a little bit. We'll recap Monday morning like we always do on the Viking Squad Show. But what are you most frustrated about with KOC right now? The run game, like Ron pointed out, the passing game in Carson Wentz. Dude, we saw this same inaccurate Carson Wentz last week too. So the lack of adjustments, perhaps, with the offensive play calling. Calling too many pass plays, like Ron pointed out, on third and manageable when they should be trying to establish the run. What exactly are you most frustrated about? Not having your team just prepared, just too sloppy. 12 men on the field down at the goal line. I mean, there's a lot of different directions you can go, but what's at the top of the list right now?
Yeah, and we'll say goodbye to Ron. I think Ron's got to bounce.
Yeah, I got to bounce. The one thing I'll say the thing I'm frustrated with is they didn't let Max. They kept the 3 timeouts. Let Max Brosman go score. Like, why are you keeping those timeouts? Yeah. So I'll catch you guys later this week.
See you, Ron.
Thanks a lot, Ron. Yeah,
check
always
him out
good
on the Ron
to pop
Johnson
in
Show each and every Tuesday. Yeah, what do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I thought that there was at least a formula for how to play football with Carson Wentz against the Browns, and I thought that the Browns game, even though it was a slog at times, but there was some direction. It was like, okay, we've made an adjustment. We've simplified the passing patterns. We're getting the ball out more quickly. We are finding a way to mitigate an injured offensive line. They had backups in that game. They had Joe Huber in that game. And they found a way to keep Carson Wentz mostly upright and making forward progress in the passing game. That disappeared today. And against the Eagles, I felt like they didn't really try to do it against the Eagles. They were still trying to work the ball downfield. There was a lot of long developing stuff, and it actually did work at times. Also got him in trouble at times. And today, none of it. The run pass balance is troubling. The lack of confidence to go for it on 4th and short was troubling. This and I saw this tweeted out. Like Al Michaels said, they got skunked. Like nothing worked. It total offer. A no-show in the run game, a no-show in the pass game, a no-show in protection. And then we'll get to the defense in a bit. But KOC not kind of recognizing the dire situation that they were in. And I know he lost Darisaw mid-game. I get it. But there's always going to be those excuses. The Chargers lost people in game 2. They lost a lineman in the first quarter, just like the Vikings.
The Chargers have a more injured offensive line.
The Chargers' offensive line is in shambles.
Yeah.
Great point, Arif. They lose Becton right away. They were fine. So I think that not recognizing that something did work in that London game, and then you had the whole bye week, right? And it seems like coming out of the bye week, they are just as rudderless as they were, before. So I don't understand some of the logic. Carson Wentz is just not the guy you need standing back there for 4 seconds. He can't get away from pressure. Justin Herbert makes it look effortless, stepping up in the pocket. Carson Wentz makes it look very, very effortful, very hard, doesn't he, Reef?
Yeah, very laborious in the pocket. No, I mean, I think that you're right. I mean, there are a couple of ways that the Vikings have found ways to mitigate quick pressure and overcome the fact that their offensive line issues are kind of dictating their play. Like you said, a bunch of quick throws against the Browns. One thing that is kind of worth mentioning, also a lot of play action, a lot of rollout play action. We didn't really see that in this game. I think early on, there was like one play action pass in the first 8 dropbacks. Then after that, there were like 2 more in the first half. You can't find ways to force it. I mean, I'm not going to say he forced Carson Wentz to hold on to the ball, but you can't understand that that's going to happen, that he's going to hold on to the ball, and at least give him a little bit of leeway by giving him play action reps that allows, kind of more holes to open up, right? Like, and it cleans up the reads a little bit better, because this guy's clearly not doing a very good job of reading defenses. Clean up the reads a little bit by having him do roll out play action. It's something where he's been comfortable at his whole career. None of those in this game. Not a ton of quick game here. And obviously not running the ball, right? Like, if you're just going to dial up intermediate and deep shots with a guy who's going to wait for a player to get open. Like, his most anticipatory throw was the duck to Jefferson in the first drive. It kind of or second, I don't remember. Early on, right? The third down conversion. That was the most anticipation he had shown for the rest of the game. And from there, he just kept waiting for guys to get open instead of throwing them open, or understanding that, like, when the receiver's about to get out of his break, that you've got the ability to kind of throw it to where he's going to be, right? And so if he's not doing that, then you have to enforce quick game, especially because, he was the Chargers understood that there were going to be opportunities when they blitzed Carson Wentz. I think I've got, they had a bunch of stunts. They had a bunch of twists. They produced pass rushes that take a little bit of time, unless you've got somebody like Donovan Jackson who is just rolling right into the quarterback. And when that happens, that gives you some opportunities underneath to get rid of the ball. And if they're going to keep doing that, if they're going to keep on taking time to get pressure on the quarterback, then take advantage of it. Take a 4-yard profit, right? But the game plan didn't include any of that. The game plan didn't include any play action. If you're going to dial up these deep shots, do it in ways that take advantage of the safety leverage. A lot of these deep shots, or a lot of the deep routes, were into the safety, right? Well, move the safety around. Like, have Justin Jefferson do some decoy stuff. Have Jordan Addison enter a vacated zone like that. Like, if you're going to make him hold on to the ball, at least have a deep crosser or something like that to get a guy open. And none of that is happening. It was a shockingly poorly coached and poorly called game. And I know a bunch of the comments are talking about how they want KOC gone, how he's been a bad play caller. But that's the frustrating thing, is that he hasn't been. He's been an astounding play caller. He's been really adaptable. And that's what makes a game like this even more shocking, even on a short week.
So go ahead.
I'll let you go, Luke. I was just going to say, I think I would, if people are calling for heads, on offense, nah. I'm like, you can say that he did a bad job.
I understand. I don't want to I get it.
You can say that he did a bad job, and also recognize the body of work and the limitations with injuries. I think that there's probably more credence or as much credence for criticism on the defensive side of the ball, where you had most of your dudes and did that. We could debate about who was worse tonight, but Inman, go ahead. I know we're going to tee up the next topic there.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll touch on the defense here in just a second, but just to Arif's point, I wanted to ask you, how much changes if JJ McCarthy's in that game? Because the 7 of 8 quarters we've seen JJ, I feel like we're kind of talking about the two same problems, which are unfortunately really depressing, because they're really tough problems to figure out. Your quarterback is holding on the ball too much. He's second guessing his eyes, his feet, the reads, and all of a sudden you just got your dude staring down guys and targets too much. It feels like down in and down out, especially once it gets past 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. I think 3rd and average tonight was 3rd and 9, I want to say, which actually isn't as bad as it felt like. But I'm wondering how much different it looks like if and when JJ plays this week versus, again, I mean, as we start to get into segment 3 later on in the show, we'll talk about maybe the Lions game just a little bit. But how much different can we really expect it to look with these injuries, and then what we saw from the small sample of JJ McCarthy as well?
It's tough, because you have to figure out whether or not O'Connell is accurate when he's talking about the improvements that mechanically that McCarthy is making, right? If we only talk about McCarthy as if he's kind of locked into stasis into the quarterback that he was in the first 2 games, no, it's not different at all. I mean, the only difference might be that the dropped pick in the first half turns into an actual pick, because McCarthy's been a little bit unluckier on some of these drop picks versus deflected picks, right? Carson Wentz threw a tight window throw to Jordan Addison that made no sense to throw, and it should have been picked off. Justin Jefferson almost caught it. Actually, that would have been very funny. But yeah, I mean, that might have been the only difference. The thing is, like, Wentz is out of sync with what the offense kind of demands of him, but McCarthy is out of sync with what the offense is designed to do. Like Wentz gets to his landmark on the drop back where he needs to be at the time he needs to do it, and then he freezes. McCarthy doesn't even do that. He like floats around. He's messing with the timing. And again, that can all be fixed. It might be fixed next week against Detroit. I'm not saying that's a permanent problem, but if we're talking about McCarthy as if he's the guy that we've seen over the past 2 games, no, that doesn't change. Again, by EPA per play, right? And I've banged on this point way too often. I understand if people are sick of it, but by EPA per play, even including this game, Wentz still has not had a bad game as McCarthy has had in either of his 2 games. Now, a lot of that is turnover based. Wentz's interceptions happen to be a little bit deeper, and that helps you on EPA per play. But minus 0.5 EPA per play in 2 different games is pretty significant, right? And so when we're talking about like the traits that McCarthy shows, they're very similar to the problems that Wentz has here. And if you don't change the game plan, like it seemed like you didn't here, if you don't change the game plan like you did for Wentz against the Steelers and the Browns, then I don't know what you can do. So this is less an issue of like, maybe you should have kind of, you already thrown one hurt quarterback out there. Maybe you should have thrown the other hurt quarterback out there. I don't know. It's less an issue of which quarterback that is deeply injured should go out there, and more a question of how you planned to accommodate that quarterback.
Well, what about the Brosmer debate? Because that was running rampant on X tonight, and I think that you have to call KOC's, but you have to call the bluff here. If they're going to put him out as your backup quarterback, that insinuates that they deem him capable of playing in a game. So you don't need to coddle him. He's your backup, right? Just like Carson Wentz was your backup. So at what point should you have made that move? Because it had to be earlier than the 2-minute warning, which is what they did. Carson, like, and not just for performance reasons, but for injury reasons. Like, is it noble to allow your quarterback to get his butt kicked and to be like wincing in serious pain? Is that noble? Is that like, is it respectful?
12:02 in the fourth quarter. 12:02 in the fourth quarter after he threw the pick. The over the head pick to Justin Jefferson that was to Harvey, right? Something. No, RJ, someone else, not Harvey.
Mickens?
But yeah, RJ Mickens, different RJ. The backup safety that was 5th on the depth chart for the Chargers coming out of camp until they traded Alohi Gilman. That guy got the pick because you overthrew Justin Jefferson. Once that happened, it's like, well, first of all, the game is over, right?
Yeah.
But like, second, like,
and your quarterback is just absolutely dying. I mean, just wincing every single step.
If the game is over and the guy is exploding in front of you, like, you can put the other guy in, right? Like, maybe everyone interprets that as a white flag and you don't feel you're the comeback king. You don't feel like, throwing a white flag up there. But no, A, the game is over. But B, even if it's not, like, what is this guy who, after every single throw, is grimacing on national TV? Maybe some of that is performance, but I think honestly he's just hurt, right? That you just throw out this. I mean, like, okay, what happens if you screw up Brosmer's development by doing that? Who cares?
Right.
He's an undrafted free agent. Just throw him out there.
Right.
It's just weird the conversations we're having this week. Like the coach is not cool with putting out the young quarterback who's 80%, but he's cool with putting out the worst quarterback, like the old guy that's 50%. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's a weird calculation. And do you want to get Luke Braun's reaction? I just
love it. You got to load it up.
He's at the stadium.
Bring him in. Bring him in.
Yeah, kids. Yeah, get the dump button ready. There might be some NSFW language in this one from Luke Braun.
It's fourth down. Well, that was an entire ass beating. The Vikings might be a bottom 5 team in this league. They dropped one 34-10 on the West Coast here. Unless something happens in the last 2 minutes here, I'm at SoFi Stadium watching my favorite team get blown to bits for the second time this season in a primetime spot. This is not good enough. And I think the Vikings have a mini bye here where they have to go in and ask some really serious questions about if they have the right people in the right jobs. I wouldn't be surprised if the head rolled after this one. This is a really rough 5-day stretch for the Vikings. I know they're on the road in the West Coast. I know it's a night game. I know it's weird. They just went to London. The schedule is tough. But you can't no-show like this as many times as they have. They haven't scored a first-half touchdown since week 3. They have 1 turnover since week 3. The only touchdown they got in this game was a gift based off of 2 defensive penalties. It's terrible. Get him out of here. Right.
He bleeds.
Get who?
Guy bleeds.
Get who out
That's
of
right.
Give us the name.
Does if there is a move to be made, like personnel wise or coaching wise, what's the move in the next 10 days? Matt Daniels?
I mean, Matt Daniels, sure,
but that just doesn't feel like it moves the needle.
They're not Cannon B.
Right,
Flow.
like
They're not.
Are though.
KOC giving play calling to Wes Phillips, like that would be the hottest take of all.
Get him back in the booth. Is he not in the booth?
Wherever he is, get him in the other place.
Yeah, put him somewhere else. That's not working. Matt Daniels, I guess. I don't know. Like, Wes Phillips play caller. Sure, I don't care. That make a change. I don't. This is not working.
Yeah, this is rough.
See if you can get Grant Udinski back. See if you could trade for him. Maybe that'll fix it.
Ooh.
How about the defensive side of the ball here, real quick? Brian Flores, we picked on KOC enough. I feel like Brian Flores. Again, both guys under the microscope after a game like that. But what was it exactly for you guys with this defense? We've seen it get gashed now a couple times in a row this season. The Falcon game, that's kind of where it all started. The bleeding started, and obviously the last 2 weeks versus the Eagles and the Chargers tonight. 65 points allowed the last 2 weeks. Play calling, lack of halftime adjustments, pre-snap alignments, or are we kind of at that point with the defense as well where you just have to say the injuries have just taken too much of a toll? What stuck out the most with Brian Flores' defense tonight?
Yeah, I mean, other than Van Ginkel, I don't know if you can really play the injury card either. I mean, Grenard got hurt, but
the last couple of weeks we're saying because Cashman makes that much a difference. Are we now saying that Van Ginkel makes that much of a difference as well?
Right.
The Vikings defense is only good if everyone is completely healthy.
All their
and that's a
healthy.
Normal place to be in. And don't
it's Bynum, but the vibes of Bynum. Have you noticed the vibes are just bad now? That there's no the celebrations.
Indy 6-1.
The celebrations.
They're not even motivated. They're not even motivated to get turnovers because they haven't coordinated their celebrations.
Yes, Nathan.
That's the issue.
Yes, Nathan. Exactly. Yeah, they haven't. Have they done one this year? Did they do one?
Recall.
Did they do one after the Rodgers pick 6? I don't know.
Isaiah kind of was shaking him off. Like, I feel like he kind of knew maybe especially after watching that Hawkinson touchdown get reversed last week, that maybe he knew he was trying to calm everybody down. So they didn't, nothing pre-planned, no fireworks as far as the celebration goes. Cam Bynum though, the Colts 6-1 right now. So maybe there is something to that Cam Bynum thing.
Yeah, the vibes are important. I would say, I mean, without question, their worst defensive performance of the year. Like, you look at like each other game, you could say, well, against the Falcons, they couldn't stop the run, but they did other stuff well. Like, they stopped the pass very well. Or against the Eagles, you would
the
say
red zone defense versus Atlanta was fantastic.
Yeah. Or like even Sunday, you would say, well, they stopped Barkley and they actually forced a lot of punts in that game, and then Hurts got you on some big downs. This was a down by down, absolute fiasco, complete debacle in each phase. Pass defense, run defense, allowing the quarterback to move around at will, run for first downs, pass for first downs. Like, how demoralizing after the overturn, which, by the way, I still think was wrong. After the overturn, it's still 3rd and 13. You can force a 3 and out. Defense feels good. First drive of the game. Herbert steps up, first down throw, and he just carved them like a Thanksgiving turkey for the rest of the night.
There's one thing the Vikings were good at. Forcing them.
Let me guess. No, go ahead.
No, forcing them into 3rd and long. Now, what happened? Don't worry about that. But they got him. They got him into 3rd and long. You got to give them that. They did do that.
Second down success rate.
Yeah, but. I mean, individually, there were some good defenders, but like the problem is 11 men on defense, unless you're committing a penalty, which happened. But 11 men on defense, right? And, 2 or 3 good players, really difficult to turn that into a good down. So Jalen Redmond, for example, got something like 7 pressures in the game. He had a really good game. It doesn't matter. Jonathan Grenard got into the backfield, didn't do much after that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he did get a sack, of course. You got the sack, which helps me, right? But actually, I don't think we ever announced what our picks were, right? But my pick was Jonathan Grenard over 0.5 sacks. So hooray. But you did get the sack.
You were sweating that for a couple
It
plays.
was because he kept on getting close and not doing it. And that's the issue, right? You get into the backfield and you don't finish, right? And it's like long term, you're probably fine, right? Pressure rate predicts sack rate better than sack rate does. Win rate predicts pressure rate better than pressure rate does. The win rate was fine. Long term, that's fine, but that doesn't mean individually in games you can't critique your inability to bring a quarterback down. Like, I know Justin Herbert's big. I know he's athletic. You got to bring him down. We talked about spies. Obviously, the scrambling was a big situation. But, like, you also need rush lane discipline, too. So, yeah, Grenard, okay. Redmond, good. Everyone else, I don't know. Like, Blake Cashman had some issues, especially in coverage. They did blitz him a lot, so that was kind of an issue. Eric Wilson.
You want the numbers on that? I've got the blitz numbers against the blitz, and this was the big story because he threw for over 300 yards against the blitz 2 years ago.
Yeah.
A little more modest tonight, just 13 of 15 for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns.
The thing from 2 years ago, the Justin Herbert's performance against the blitz, I don't actually think is very fair, because Justin Herbert's success rate against the blitz 2 years ago is actually lower than his success rate against not the blitz. It turns out he was just good at everything in that game, and he was actually worse against the blitz. So when you say, oh, they give up 300 yards when they blitzed him, 2 years ago, well, blitzing was a better strategy than not blitzing. He was carving them up either way. Here, it was worse. So I don't think it's fair to like bring up that, because they blitzed him like at a 70% clip. So of course he got more yards against the blitz than not the blitz, but he performed worse on those downs. Here, that wasn't the case.
He should have thrown a pick six against the blitz in this game, to be fair. That was a direct result of the Metellus pressure, I think, right into Rodgers' arms. And
right. No, yeah, absolutely.
Hit the ground.
And it sucks. And I can disagree with the call, but like, you had like 80 yards to make up for it, and you didn't, right? So it's obviously on the defense.
14 play, 80-yard touchdown drive backbreaker.
Yeah. So
good segue. Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, it's just like, so like on top of that, like maybe you could say like Eric Wilson had a good game, but everyone else stumbled. Right?
Yeah.
You had bad performances before he got hurt. Jeff Okudah, bad performances from Byron Murphy. That penalty was pretty bad. Isaiah Rodgers, aside from a pick six that was taken away, pretty poor game, I would argue.
Has Theo Jackson's name been called once in a positive light this year?
I think Theo Jackson did virtually nothing. I bet actually, here's a take. I bet when we get the PFF grades for this game coming out tomorrow morning, that Theo Jackson will have the worst grade on defense. He was out of position. He missed a bunch of tackles. He couldn't take run angles. It was bad. It was really, really bad.
Back to Cam Bynum, the Cam Bynum factor. Good segue. Plenty more to come. Biggest turning points. We'll break all that down. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode also brought to us by Game Time. Game Time, the Vikings season, we're at its peak right now, almost to the halfway mark. I couldn't be more jacked up. We're talking tailgate rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's really nothing like it, but let's be real. Actually getting tickets, it can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, price jumping when you get to checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's by far the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. No joke. It's faster. It's cheaper. It's way less stressful than any other way I've ever bought tickets before. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Just real quick, before we get into the biggest turning points, back to Wentz in the passing game. What was his ADOT? Does anybody have his ADOT? I don't know. Did he throw a ball more than 20 yards downfield? Maybe the Justin Jefferson pick. That felt like it was 17, 18 yards, though.
Next Gen has it at 4.6 as his ADOT.
And how atrocious is that? Just
Well, I mean, ADOT's not a measure of quality by itself, technically, but that is the fourth percentile. So 96% of quarterback games feature an ADOT deeper downfield than that.
Again, I mean, when you're down 3 scores, you'd think a couple deep shots would be taken just to try to switch it up and get something. I'm trying to think back to last week now. Philly seems like forever ago now, but I'm trying to remember how many deep shots was last week. But yeah, just thought of that. Just the lack of explosive attempts deep downfield. Again, intermediate stuff. KOC's bread and butter when you look at the playbook. And there was plenty of intermediate, that 10 to 18 yard range, but just no deep shots at all, trying to keep that defense honest, especially again when you're down so many scores.
Yeah, and here's the really frustrating thing. Because he's not throwing deep downfield, a lot of screens, a lot of short, not quick, short.
And even those are inaccurate, by the way.
Right. That was the next point I was going to make, is that the deeper downfield you throw, the lower we can expect a completion rate or an accuracy rate to be, right? And so we know, based off of how deep downfield he was throwing, that the expected completion rate, the average completion rate for a quarterback throwing about just under 5 yards downfield on average on each play, is 70%. His completion rate was 57.7%. I actually don't recall a drop from a receiver in this game. Maybe there was one, but like that, it feels like
you're sick.
Oh yeah, Urasek. Oh my guy.
Maybe Thielen was kind of contested too. I can't remember if it was.
I would probably call that one a contested, but I think meaningfully completion rate does in this specific instance give us a good understanding of the overall accuracy that Wentz demonstrated here. 57.7 completion rate versus a 70% expected completion rate because you're throwing so short. Minus 12 CPOE, completion percentage over expected. Brutally bad, right? And I'm just giving you numbers to, shape out the contour of what we all saw. We know he was inaccurate. But to understand that he was given, I'm not going to say easy mode stuff because he was under pressure over 50%, although that's kind of his fault. But like given these passes that he is not pushing that far downfield, playing some like Looney Tunes Benny Hill stuff in the first half as like the pressure is coming and just not getting rid of the ball, whatever, right? Just you're not putting the ball in the vicinity of the receiver.
Quote from Carson after the game: "Pain is pain. I felt like I could still help this team and find a way to go down and score."
I bet
he was not going to take himself out. He was not going to take himself out. Also, KOC says, if JJ is healthy, JJ will play.
Oh, so that's actually the first definitive statement, I think, which we basically had heard that he was going to play in Detroit either way, whether or not Wentz had a good game here. But that's the most definitive I think KOC has been, which maybe that's a lesson he's learned given how people have talked. But yeah,
spit out any more good quotes from the pressers as they roll in. But biggest turning points, we kind of already touched on a lot. I mean, you could go all the way back to, again, the overturned pick 6 by Isaiah Rodgers. That led to that 14-play, 80-yard touchdown drive. That makes it 7-0. That felt like a monster turning point right there. But, really, even though the vibes felt like the Vikings were out of it very early in this one, the scoreboard said otherwise, down 2-3 possessions with a ton of time on the clock. What else comes to mind, I guess, top of your head as far as biggest turning points go in this one?
A little more under the radar, but at 14-3, the Chargers miss a field goal, and you're still saying to yourself, okay, go down and score. We're getting close to halftime.
Which is a miracle, by the way, with Digger the kicker. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It almost missed 2 kicks tonight. 14-3, and you get the ball in good field position and a holding call on Jackson, first play. And, of course, that ends up in – and this, again, 4th and 2. 4th and 2, and your quarterback is in pain, right? He's too hurt to, consider going for it in that moment. You probably would have. You're at the 47-yard line, 4th and 2. I think that any good coach goes for that. And Carson Wentz is, in agony coming off the field. They don't elect to take a timeout and let him sort through it, which he did actually sort through and come back in the game. I thought that was a low-key moment. And, of course, what does Los Angeles do? 9 plays, 94 yards in 3 minutes, 19 seconds. And that was probably your ball game right there, 21-3.
I'm trying to figure out which Gadsden touchdown, which Gadsden play.
One.
Yeah. Obviously saying the first touchdown they scored is not like a turning point, but it kind of feels like one, right? Because it is a demonstration of how much the Vikings couldn't come back from not being able to, produce that turnover, right? Which is just like, it's pathetic, right? It was a conclusion of this drive downfield that didn't need to happen. I think that was also the drive that the Dallas Turner penalty occurred on. Just like all kinds of leakiness, as it were, in terms of like their ability to showcase that they could win the game, right? So that one was a big one to me. Obviously, in the third quarter, when they go up like 3 scores again, like there's so many quote unquote turning points, but like more like closing door points, right? Because there was never a point where the game was turning. The ship was always going in one direction. Like the Chargers were just winning and then winning more. So it's more just kind of like which plays kind of closed these doors, right? Probably everything. Jesus. I
Seriously, pick one.
Yeah. I think 12:02 in the fourth quarter was the end of it, right? That was the pick. Yeah. I think also like you get to, I think about a 95% win probability but by the way, it almost never happens in the first half. 95% win probability on the Ladd McConkey touchdown, a 27-yard, just like a deep shot. And it was like a really bad situation, because I think right before that, it was Jeff Okudah was beat on the inside, I think, to McConkey to get a conversion. And then right before that, he just streaked straight into the end zone on a go route for 27 yards. And that touchdown moved the Chargers from like 90 to 95%. And it was before the end of the half. Like the turning point with 50 seconds left at the end of the half might have been the closest to a closing door that we got before the fourth quarter.
I want to ask you guys about just kind of this mini bye wish list, I guess. Injuries again. Christian Darrisaw only played 8 snaps. Josh Oliver carted off. Jeff Okudah, second concussion already this year. How worried are we as far as Christian Darrisaw's health? Obviously, we know the impact the guy has, what it looks like with him on the field, what it looks like without him. Doesn't matter who's at quarterback. How worried are you? How surprised are you is just how long this process has taken? Think about back to the beginning of the year and just maybe he misses a week, but week 2, week 3, he'll be 100% ready to go the rest of the way. Not the case.
This is really concerning. This is really concerning. A setback, according to the sideline report. Now the sideline report said this, and I don't know if it was Kaylee Hartung maybe a little out of pocket, maybe speculating, or if she has inside info, saying that this is like an aggravation of the knee that's been recovering, and attributed it to like it's still bothering him. That's a real concern, and it kind of reframes, if true, how the maintenance plan looked. We were scratching our heads. Was it the Cleveland game? Scratching our heads.
He only played 40 snaps. Count. He couldn't play in the fourth quarter. Yeah,
because he played 48 snaps or something the week before.
Too many against Pittsburgh, they said, and they gave him a pitch count, and then he comes back after the bye and plays against Philadelphia. This is a concern. If that knee is still giving him trouble, that is a real significant problem. You've got 2 tackles that have aggravated their knees right now. Like, it's hard to really find light at the end of the tunnel when Ryan Kelly has chronic concussion issues and you have 2 tackles with re-aggravated knees. I'm sorry. Like, it's going to be that's going to be hard for any quarterback if that's the case.
Trade for Ed Ingram. Get him back here. Swing Brandel back out. Yeah, figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's like part of it too. Is like Sam named 3 starting offensive linemen that the Vikings didn't have access to in this game, and have like persistently been, availability concerns. But the 2 healthy-ish offensive linemen, Donovan Jackson, you missed him for 2 games, but like the 2 healthy-ish offensive linemen are also playing well below expectation, right? Like I understand it takes a while for offensive linemen to play at a high level unless you're Quentin Nelson, right? As a rookie, Donovan Jackson is not expected to play at a Pro Bowl level necessarily. That's a nice bonus, even for a first-round pick. But I think he's playing below expectation, kind of given that. And then Will Fries is absolutely playing below expectation. Like against the Eagles, he was actually fine. That might have been his best game. I'd probably have to go back and check. But yeah, it seems like his recovery from injury, or he was just a 1-year wonder, hasn't gone to plan, and that's a huge issue. So 3 offensive linemen injured, which I don't even know that you have the ideal backup at center. I think you're still screwing that up. And then the 2 guys that are nominally healthy are also well below average at their position. That's a recipe for disaster.
From the GM's point of view here, play GM, put your GM cap on. Each team only gets so much money to play with. That's how you build your team. What are you most disappointed about as far as getting your money's worth? Is it the defensive line with Javon Hargraves and Jonathan Allen, or is it the Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, and then also include your first-round pick, high capital, into Donovan Jackson as well? Injuries obviously play a factor into all these. Well, I guess maybe not so much the defensive line, but which side of the ball, I guess, are you most frustrated about not getting your money's worth through 8 weeks of the season, 7 games into the Vikings season?
Yeah, and while you're asking that question, I was just listening to Kevin O'Connell's injury updates, and I mean, basically, yeah, he said like Christian Darrisaw tried to give it a go. I think he might have dinged it. I don't know if it was during a walkthrough. Actually, we don't know for sure. Arif, I don't know if anything was said about when that occurred.
I don't know, but it just appeared on the injury report. Right?
Yeah, it popped up unexpectedly, and they hadn't practiced. That's why it was a little bit out of left field. But anyway, yeah, Oliver X-rays negative, Okuda concussion, and then right ankle for Grenard. Yeah, offensive line or defensive line. Like I think Luke, it's two different problems. It's defensive line performance, and it's offensive line not being available.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah, you haven't had,
but also you signed a guy with a long history of concussion.
That's the thing, is that availability was a known concern for these offensive linemen. That was part of the ticket you purchased, right? Like you sign a free agent that doesn't have an injury history, and then that guy gets hurt. I think you're probably most likely unlucky, right? I think you sign a guy with an injury history and that guy gets hurt. You can at least ask the question, like whether or not that happened to be an accident and that guy was actually probably not any more likely to get hurt, or if that injury history kind of plays a role in the way we're thinking, or if that injury history tells us that that guy might not play up to the level that we expect because the injury is going to, keep him back, right? This is actually my favorite Kyle Rudolph bit. The Notre Dame injury that he suffered was always holding him back, and it's just one more offseason. He's gonna be fast now, and it's like I don't like. Maybe that's what's gonna happen to Will Fries. The injury that he incurred in the second half of the Colts season is always gonna hold him back, and he's just not gonna be up to par. So I think it's fair to say that either of those are kind of part of this conversation. I will say Jonathan Allen is not living up to his contract, but I don't think that he is playing uniformly poorly. Like he played reasonably well in this game, and he's played well in maybe 2 other games, which is more than I can say for Javon Hargrave. I think that again, you're not getting your money's worth from Jonathan Allen. I'm not saying that, but compared to Javon Hargrave, that is a disaster in terms of investment. And as much as we pushed back against Sam on Dallas Turner's play over the course of the season, I think in this game, Dallas Turner played very well, and not just the targeting penalty. I think in this game, he did actually genuinely play poorly. So I think it's fair to say either. I'm going to go with the offensive line just because there are some kind of moments where you're like, well, I see it with Jonathan Allen, and you're getting bolstered by the fact that Jalen Redmond happened to turn out. That's lucky, but at least you got it. The offensive line, man.
Yeah.
I just did a little bit of contract deep diving while you were talking. So, I mean, if you want to get out from Ryan Kelly, you can. That's an easy contract. It's like $3 million dead. If Kelly doesn't work out, you can cut ties and you're no worse for the wear. You got to find a center. You are stuck with Jonathan Allen for at least next year. Huge dead number. 3-year deal. Remember, 3-year deal. I know we're already in off-season mode here talking like this, but Javon Hargrave, pay 10, save 10. It's a $20 million cap hit. You could cut him, still pay 10. It's like 50% of it is dead. That's a
lot, man. Ten's a lot. When you're, I mean, I'm not going to call it full rebuild mode or anything like that. Strip it down to the studs, but $10 million to pay a guy to not play on your team, that's a lot of money. I mean, that's a rough equation, I guess, to kind of digest there. Again, don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, I guess. Again, only week 8. A lot of football left to be played, but so far not getting a very good return on the investment on either side of the ball for 2 different reasons, as you guys pointed out. One more quick segment. Don't go anywhere. What we'll be talking about tomorrow. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode also brought to us by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. Every game, there's always key moments that do more than just put points on the board. They move the crowd. They move the culture. They keep moving the game forward. Today's moment had to be, well, if you're a Chargers fan, you can go ahead and pick any Chargers play, I suppose. But remember, when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. What we'll be talking about tomorrow. So try to think about the dust settling. Maybe we get to go back and watch them all 22, whatever it may be. But what's the A topic, I guess? What's the overarching A topic here once the dust settles? I know things are always a little raw. The emotions are running high right after these games. But once we take the emotions out of the equation, what's the biggest talking point after what we watched just unfold tonight?
No, Sam, I know you're about to go, but we're going to Zapruder film the time McCarthy jumped over, what was it, Jonathan Allen? I'm on the sideline and just like see like, hey, he jumped fine. Like, is he limping? Is he not limping? I don't know what's going on. And then we're gonna get like one of the news stations is gonna get like a private investigator to tail McCarthy all week to see if he's walking.
Yeah, no, I mean it seems like sometimes it's the next day that it flares up for him. So we got to see how
he did jump. See
how he wakes up, how he feels, and whether that's going to be a problem. Yeah, I think that when you have such a total system failure like that, you look to the top, right? You're not focused on 1 or 2 players whose performances cost you the game. You're looking at the coaching and then probably one step above. Like, we were already going into GM mode a couple times during this show, talking about some of the moves that were made, some of the gambles that you took on either aging and or injured veterans that are not paying off for one reason or another right now. This team was constructed with a win now mentality and kind of a 2-year window. And you're in the first half of that first season and the returns are really poor and nothing about the young quarterback. And I think that Kevin O'Connell deserves a little bit of grace because of the equity that he's built with getting the most out of quarterbacks. Like, I do not forget the track record. Carson Wentz might have been his biggest project yet. And it's not working out. And Carson Wentz is playing hurt. Like, it's a bad situation. I don't think Kevin O'Connell's done him any favors, but Kevin O'Connell still deserves criticism for kind of his inability to make this run game work, right? Like we're still talking about this after all the investments and the running backs themselves being, you had two healthy backs in there tonight, your 2-headed monster, and you had a 0% success rate.
Well, until my guy Xavier Scott got
until
into the game.
Scott came in. Yeah. That's right. Matt Harmon tweeted that 0%. That must have been a little premature that he posted that number, but unbelievable, like, just malpractice in the run game consistently for this team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to add to that other than setting a PI on McCarthy and seeing if he's walking. Like, that's
you said it once jokingly, you bring it back up. I feel like you're actually pretty serious.
What do you think about Nathan's comment? Legit, like, how hot will Kwesi's seat be at the end of the season? After you extended both of them, they're tied together. You've got this window. I don't think it's hot at all.
I don't think it's hot.
Is one hotter than the other, though, if this keeps up? I'm good with KOC. No, I mean, can't say no matter what.
Probably. But. I mean, the Vikings have talked a lot about keeping them aligned and loving the pair and making sure that they're kind of like on the same track or whatever. I don't think there's a lot of value in keeping the contracts aligned. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Chemistry.
Well, you fire a guy at any time anyway. It's a contract. Who cares? But obviously, if someone's seat is warmer, it's Kwesi's. It really is a question of whether or not some of these investments in the draft start showing out by the end of the season. So if JJ McCarthy has improved pretty dramatically by the end of the season, as a player. That's going to help. If Dallas Turner starts racking up some sacks and stuff, like that's going to help. If Donovan Jackson looks a little bit better, that's going to help. But
That's
yeah,
the
I
thing, though,
think
there's only 3 guys. There's really only 3 guys to talk
with Jordan
about,
Addison was a hit, so we're good.
Okay. They're on the board. They're on the board.
Yeah, they're on the board. But I think his seat is going to be warmer. And the one thing that he's supposed to be good at, pro scouting, right? Finding guys, in free agency, hasn't really borne out. Like after the Isaiah Rodgers game, right? He's been a negative, right? Jeff Okudah has done nothing. And I know like people are like, oh, Brian Flores like hand selected Isaiah Rodgers and Jeff Okudah. He wanted those 2 in. Not his job. Kwesi's job. And Kwesi failed, right, in bringing in a secondary. So all of those I think are relevant, but it's like one offseason essentially of acquisition failures here. Obviously, and the draft has historically not been good. But I don't think his seat is hot at the conclusion of this season. But at the conclusion of next season, I think absolutely this is
big draft.
Yeah.
Well,
big draft, a lot of picks.
It gives me sweats thinking about Kwesi with another top 12 pick. I'll just say that.
Okay, he'll trade like 4 of those picks.
He'll give me sweats thinking about Kwesi with that top 12 pick. We could probably go for another hour here. We got to get out of here, though. Good show, per usual, guys. Vikings spontaneously combust tonight on primetime. Offense crumbles, defense crumbles, 37-10. That's your final. They sit at the bottom of the NFC North now. Couple extra days of rest as they start to prepare for the Detroit Lions up next in week 9. Huge shout out to all you guys, all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us from game to game. Check out Ron every Tuesday on the Ron Johnson Show. Arif Hassan, find him over at the Wide Left Substack. Luke Braun, always doing big things over on the Locked On Vikings Show with all your daily content. So you got to like and subscribe. Help us get to 10K. And we'll be back Monday morning with another episode, breaking it all down. Sam Ekstrom hosting us for that one. Until then, enjoy a stress-free Sunday for once. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.